Thank you for joining me again. This is Charlene, and we're talking about Bitcoin is energy. Bitcoin is energy because the proof of stake is not what Bitcoin was built on. Proof of work is what makes Bitcoin energy. The work, the electricity, the blood, if you will, that is the lifeblood of Bitcoin is what makes Bitcoin energy. So the energy it takes to run the node, the energy it takes to support the network, and all the systems on the network, all the computers running the network, that's what goes into the value of the Bitcoin. And that's what creates this undeniable store of energy, store of value is the energy in the network, and that you can actually um, forward looking, knowing how much energy it's going to be taking to run each Bitcoin, how many blocks are going to be awarded, the halving, the amount of time it's going to take to hash out um, the next the next equation to get the next block. All of that is based on energy, and it's running energy and storing energy. Everything about the blockchain is based on electricity and kilowatt hours. And it is my theory in this episode, I'm going to talk about how eventually, because a Satoshi is going to be valued so much money, say if Bitcoin goes to $1 million, 1/10 of a Bitcoin would be 100,000. So you're talking about $100,000 denomination for Satoshi. So what is a lower denominator? What is another measure, a lower measure of unit that you can use to measure Bitcoin? And that's what I am. That's why I think the kilowatt hours is what it's going to come down to. Because right now, that's how we measure energy. Every all the energy that you use in your home, in your business, for charging your devices and powering everything is measured in kilowatt hours. And it's funny, like we have everything boiled down to milliseconds and fractions of a millisecond, but at the end of the day, when you need to calculate how you, like, the smallest unit of measure that you can do in dollars, it's cents, like a penny in the United States. What's less than a penny? So we need to find something that's less than a Satoshi. And what's less than a Satoshi is actually a kilowatt hour, because now you can break down each Satoshi into these units of kilowatt hours, and each watt. Like you have a light bulb, it's 60 watts for LED light bulb that I have plugged into this lamp right here overhead. And so I can determine how much energy it's taking to run that light bulb. And so we are soon going to be breaking down Bitcoin in smaller fraction, the fractionality of a kilowatt hour, or a kilowatt, or watts, how many watts a light bulb is using. We're going to start eventually sending Bitcoin and Satoshis in fractions of a watt. Is like, okay, a Satoshi at $100,000, that's a lot of energy if you had to break it down. But you're not going to use a Satoshi to buy a drink, or you're not going to use it to buy something at a store. But if we're going to a society or a system where we are spending Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is 21 different states, and that's what I cover in Tokens Magazine. The 21 states, or the 21 phases of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is life, Bitcoin is energy, Bitcoin is an asset, Bitcoin is technology, Bitcoin is sovereign, Bitcoin is timeless, Bitcoin is fungible. Bitcoin is also, now people are talking about Bitcoin as using it as a currency. The way I talked about it, Bitcoin, it's being used as a force for good, or a force, a military type force. The more Bitcoin you have, or the more mining machines you're running, are you a threat? Are you a threat to the whole network if you're running too many nodes or too many computers on the Bitcoin network? all those kinds of things come into play. But the one common thing, no matter what you think Bitcoin is, the main thing is that Bitcoin uses energy. It doesn't matter where you're running the code, wherever in the world, mathematically, Bitcoin is using watts, kilowatt hours, and energy. And that's the common denominator that's going to be used to denominate a smaller fraction than a Satoshi. So how do we get there? So right now, a lot of the energy companies, they're positioning, they're saying, oh, we're not into Bitcoin, we don't like Bitcoin, but the first thing you have to remember is when you're running any device, the electric company, the utility providers, they're the first one to get paid because you're paying your electric bill. Otherwise, they cut off your service. So basically, you have here all this electricity going into the network. So the utility providers are essentially the ones supporting the Bitcoin network. So it's like, Warren Buffett, oh, I don't like Bitcoin. I'm not into Bitcoin. I would never invest in Bitcoin. Well, he doesn't have to invest in Bitcoin because Warren Buffett is the first one getting paid out of every block that's generated on the Bitcoin network, or every transaction that's converted, or every wallet moving Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency. All the entire crypto market is dependent on energy. So for an energy provider to come out and say, I'm not into Bitcoin, it's kind of like an oxymoron, because you are the network. You provide the lifeblood that runs the network. And so without the electricity, basically there would be no Bitcoin. It would just be a white paper somewhere. So this is my thesis that I'm teaching at Utah Valley University over the course of the last couple of years. Formerly, when I was an adjunct instructor at Utah Valley University, UVU. And my thesis is that this 21 states of Bitcoin, energy is the most important thing. Nobody else is talking about Bitcoin as in terms of energy, and how we can transition energy that's being idle or grounded or not being utilized in the energy market, how we can shift that as a store of energy onto the Bitcoin blockchain. Because really, see, if you have all this energy that you're not able to utilize with the demand for energy, because we produce about 100 times the amount of energy that we actually need. So there is no energy crisis. Let's put that one to bed. This idea that we have an energy crisis, or we're in energy, or we're running out of energy, is just, or it doesn't exist. It's not true. The earth has unlimited sources of energy, plus the sources that we're currently using: natural gas, oil, coal, nuclear energy, all the energy we have. I don't know why they say California, they have to do rolling blackouts, because basically there's so much extra supply of energy across the United States that's not being used, that's being grounded on a daily basis, that they could divert to supply the areas that are in need most, but maybe it costs too much. I rest my case on that point. But the idea is that we have all this energy that's not being utilized. We have places where there's geothermal, all that steam is just going up into the atmosphere that we could tap into and convert all that energy, all those watts and kilowatt hours into the blockchain. And the moment that realization becomes a factor, where now people are just saying, oh, they want to accumulate Bitcoin, they want to accumulate Satoshis, they want to own Bitcoin in their wallet. But guess what? If you can supply the network, if you can supply the blockchain, if you can supply the mining operations, sustaining the network, that's also part of the whole system. You don't only have to have Bitcoins in your wallet to support the entire structure. You can also be an energy supplier. And we're going to see that people eventually, if they've got any kilowatt hours that they can shift to off peak, we talk about off peak hours when demand is basically low. For example, when everybody goes to work in the morning, between wake up at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., everybody gets ready at the same time, blow dry your hair, wash your face, make your coffee, you know, flip on the light switch. Everybody does that at the same time. So we have to have enough energy to supply everybody, every home, every apartment, comes on at 7 o'clock. So you got to supply all that energy. Then everybody leaves by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, everybody's gone. And all that energy that you were supplying to the homes and the apartments, what do you do with that energy? Now, while you leave your apartment to go to your job, you could leave your laptop running the Bitcoin node and be supporting the network because the energy is still there. It didn't go away just because you flip off the switch. And if we could find a way where utility providers are supporting the network, not only by supplying energy, but actually formally coming out and saying, we understand how blockchain works. We understand how Bitcoin works. We know that without energy, without electricity, there is no network. There is no Bitcoin. So why don't they come forward and acknowledge that they are the lifeblood, they are the backbone of the network, of the system, because it doesn't exist without electricity. I mean, you can try to go and run your own solar generator system, but you still have to get that oil or that gas from somewhere. In a gas station, you go buy your diesel and you run your diesel generator, or you buy your solar panels. Yeah, the whole energy sector needs to come forward and step up to the plate and acknowledge the relevance that they play in the whole Bitcoin structure. There is no network without electricity. But I think once people realize the value that the Bitcoin and the blockchain adds to the whole energy market, there's people out there, every city and every power company and every supplier of energy, they're trading electricity back and forth, kind of like we trade stocks, or sell what it is, auctioning off sugar or oil or gas or whatever. They're trading electricity, like how much you want, how much you need, where's the demand going to be, what's the like in the summer, warmer climates need more electricity. In the winter, colder climates need more electricity because people are running those little heaters that you have under your desk and running a lot of places run on gas for heat, but they also use a lot of electricity to run those powerful systems to keep them going. They ignite with electricity, and then they burn gas to keep you warm. The whole energy sector has to come forward, has to float the possibility that we can store energy now, not only in batteries, but we can store this energy in the blockchain. If you can provide the energy at no cost or very low cost, less than other consumptions, for running the Bitcoin network, is if you have a computer running Bitcoin network, we're going to sell you electricity at a fraction of the cost. That's what needs to happen. And I think that's going to happen soon because there is so much benefit to an electricity provider or a utility provider to actually offset that electricity at a lower cost. They already do it. For example, at Southern California Edison, they offer a time of use rate. And if you're running your manufacturing or your factory or your business in the off peak hours, for example, everybody goes to work. Like I said, they wake up at 7, they get ready, then they leave the house, they go to work, they get to the office. The first thing they do, all the lights come on, all the computers come on, all the systems, are go, and electricity pumping, air conditioners running. You got to keep these massive buildings, skyscrapers and large factories and large facilities. You got to keep it cooled and heated. So all that electricity is happening during the daytime. Now, come 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, all of that shuts down. Now, right now, some power company like Edison, they're saying, okay, if you can run your business after 5 o'clock, after 6 o'clock, when all that energy that we were supplying to this section of the grid, like, so this is why they have industrial areas. Like, notice all the factories are in the same location, all the businesses are in a similar location or stretched out along a path. It's all driven by energy supply. Where are you going to get a lot of energy? A lot of these places, they're running 3-phase and they're using a lot of electricity. I'm not talking about kilowatts, I'm talking megawatts of electricity over the course of the day. So if we can take a fraction of that electricity that would otherwise not be used, but guess what? The power company still has to make that available and supply that energy. But what they do is when the factories close and everyone goes home, what do you think they do with all that energy? They ground it. It's sent directly into the ground. It's not utilized. It's not being supplying its full or enjoying its full potential of its existence, all that grounded and wasted basically electricity could be converted into Bitcoin, could be converted into the blockchain, hence a store of energy. Now we have a way to store energy, because once you use the energy to run the Bitcoin and to run the blockchain and to support the network, that energy is locked in. It's fixed into the system. So you're not wasting it anymore. You're capturing the energy. If you can capture the energy and convert that into the value of the Bitcoin, this would be amazing. I mean, everybody is going to be eventually, I believe, running a laptop or a computer or whatever device we invent or one of your AI machines will be running the Bitcoin node. You don't, it's going to be automatic. So once you close down all the offices and close down all the business using that bulk of energy, all that energy could go straight into the blockchain, because right now it's being wasted, it's being grounded, nobody's using it, and you can't store it, and you can't shut off the power lines at 5 o'clock. They got to be there so the next morning when you go to work you flip the switch and it's back in operation. So that amount of stable power can remain stable, and you can actually increase reliability, increase productivity, and you can transfer that energy into something that locks in the value, that creates a future value as well, because you can look at all the energy, all the electricity, all the kilowatts that you use to support the Bitcoin network. You're capturing that. You're not wasting that. When you say, for example, when you use a light bulb and you turn the light bulb on and it lights up the room and you can see, you've actually captured electricity, you've used it. But if you turn off that light switch and the light bulb is not glowing in the dark and it's not lighting up the room, that energy has to go somewhere. The energy that would have lit that light bulb, is not, it didn't shut off. It's still coming in through the power lines. So where do you put it? You can divert all this unused energy into the blockchain, into mining Bitcoin, into supporting Bitcoin network and the transactions and all the other crypto coins out there that people are going to be mining. Cities and towns and governments will be launching their own crypto coins. For maybe they won't be as big as Bitcoin, like PayPal. They just launched their own crypto coin. We're talking about banks, central banks launching their own crypto coins, central bank digital currencies. They need people to run those nodes. A decentralized system is not a digital currency. If you want to say, okay, I'm going to launch my own coin, but I'm just going to run it on my own server, this is not what cryptocurrency is. This is not what a blockchain is. You have to have a network of computers randomly displaced across the globe, running that code and running that node for it to work. That's why a lot of these crypto coins, they'll give you incentives to run their codes because they want to spread out their network globally. So all these countries think, oh, I'm going to launch my own coin and I'm going to convert my fiat currency that for example, like in Jamaica, where I was born and raised, they decided, okay, they're going to launch their own Jamaican crypto coin. And why would they do that? They already have Bitcoin. They should take the route of El Salvador and go with the Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has the network. See, a lot of people, they come into crypto, the crypto space, or they hear about blockchain, but they don't look at it as the total picture. That's why, Charlene, Tokens Magazine, I cover all the different aspects of the blockchain of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is life. It's an asset. It's a currency. It's energy. It's sovereign. It's life. It's time. You capture time with the Bitcoin because you can send Bitcoin to a wallet in the future. So you want to say, you want me to write a story, okay? You can pay me now to write the story, or you want me to do a video, you can pay me today. Like when you hire somebody, they want you to pay a deposit or you want to pay upfront. and then they don't basically contractors, you pay them half to do your floor, and then they never come back for 6 months, and you're kind of lost out on that. You have to hire another contractor who screws you also, and then eventually you get it done, but you've already paid 5 different people, and the work is not what you started out with, and product, the cost of material goes up and whatever. If you're using Bitcoin or if you're using the blockchain, you can say, I'll pay you the full price. You want $5,000 to renovate my apartment, new floors, new walls, paint, and everything. I'll pay you $5,000. But I'm going to pay you today, and I'm going to send the Bitcoin to your wallet, but it's not going to drop until a future date. Or you can schedule several different Satoshis to drop at different times. And it's all I mean, they're doing that with like ETH and smart contracts, and different blockchains are doing that. But you can do that with Bitcoin. You can send Bitcoin in the future. You're going to get this Bitcoin based on certain criteria in the future, and it's going to drop in your wallet, but you won't be able to access that crypto or that Bitcoin in that wallet until a certain time, until a certain objection objective or goal has been accomplished. So you might have the key to a wallet, but the key won't unlock until a certain date. So we can do all of this. Transactionality can be simplified, and contractual obligations can be met with the Bitcoin blockchain, and other crypto is starting to do this. It's called smart contracts. But going back to the basics of energy, you can pay forward future Bitcoin. You can send Bitcoin in the future to your grandchildren for inheritance and all that. And of course, it's going to be the value, because some people think, oh, how much is my Bitcoin worth? Your Bitcoin is worth Bitcoins. So stop trying to convert Bitcoin into dollars. Once you make that switch to say a Satoshi is a Satoshi, now, what you can buy with a Satoshi can change over time, but a Bitcoin is a Bitcoin. So if I send one Bitcoin today, and maybe I can cash it out for $100, that was what? Probably 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago. But now you can cash it out for $30,000. So if you think if you send Bitcoin in the future, what if Bitcoin goes to 1 million? I have no doubt that Bitcoin is going to rise above its current levels. I don't know when. There's a lot of people making predictions. I don't have the mental capacity, or neither do I need to make a prediction. What I'm saying is, if you send Bitcoin in the future, you can guarantee it's going to be valued more. Kind of like when you inherit land from your great great grandfather, or they used to give stocks, buy stocks, and give it to their great grandchildren. They put it in a bank vault, the stock certificates. You try to go cash those in. Maybe they value something. Maybe that company doesn't exist anymore. But the Bitcoin's going to exist. What is going to value, I cannot guarantee, but I believe strongly it's going to be higher than what it is today. 10 years from now will be higher, because we've seen that it's higher from over every year for the past over a decade. It has increased in value. That's besides the point. What's the point? Converting unused energy, converting kilowatt hours into Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is already energy. When someone mines Bitcoin, what they're really doing is using the electricity. That's why it's called proof of work. The computer is working. And what's working in the computer is the electricity running the chips, running the node, running the system, and that energy is converted into Bitcoin. So what is really a block? A block is a block of energy. A block on the Bitcoin network is not just a white paper. It's not Satoshi Nakamoto created something. That something is really energy. So the thing that Bitcoin is, if you want to answer, what is Bitcoin? You say Bitcoin is stored energy. This is going to change the conversation once people understand that you're storing energy. You're storing the value of the electricity that it took to generate those blocks and those Bitcoins, and you're locking that energy into a value. So the value of the entire network that it took for each block to be generated. That's where the value comes. So you don't need to find another value. It's like Bitcoin tied to this or Bitcoin tied to that or Bitcoin doesn't need to be backed by something. Bitcoin is already backing something. So if you think about Bitcoin this way, Bitcoin is backing energy. Now this is revolutionary concept. This is a revolutionary idea that Bitcoin is backing electricity. Bitcoin is backing kilowatt hours. You're taking those kilowatt hours and you're converting them into cold, hard monetary value. And you can convert that as far out in the future as possible. And the more energy, if say for example the utility companies and the electricity provider stop charging electricity for Bitcoin mining, the value of that Bitcoin would go through the roof, because now everybody, the network is going to be strengthened, because everyone's going to say, okay, if I'm running Bitcoin nodes, I don't have to pay for that electricity. You can hook up, you know how they say now, if you plug it, if you're driving an electric car, you charge your electric car, some places offer you no charge for that electricity to charge your electric car, because they have an incentive built into the electricity cost, so that to motivate people to drive electricity cars, to buy electricity car. Whoever is the benefactor of that is besides the point. The point is, a lot of cities, states, countries are offering zero tariffs for electric cars, zero tariffs or zero tax on electric cars, zero cost to charge your electric car. So if you have a Tesla in certain areas, you can charge that, and basically the cost of gas doesn't mean anything to you anyways, but now the cost of electricity to charge that vehicle, that electric vehicle, means nothing to you. So you can get free energy to charge your electric car. What if they took that model? Can you imagine taking the model that they offer for EV, free charging, to Bitcoin mining? Free Bitcoin mining here. What if there's a big sign, you pull up at Walmart and they have designated parking stalls, or some of these, foo-foo companies who are forward thinking and they want to show that they're sustainable minded or sustainably focused. So they offer in front, park here for electric cars, free charging, no cost for charging, like at Rocky Mountain Power. If you drive an electric car to the office, or the company actually has electric cars that they use for some of their positions and functions, they have free parking. Like at my office where I used to work in Utah, in American Fork, working at Rocky Mountain Power, there was a spot there that I could park my electric car at no cost. Now, there are a few employees that based on their job, they were driving electric cars and they just pull up and park, but it was offered to all employees. Even customers could come in and charge your EVs or their Tesla or their Nissan Leafs there. The point I'm saying is that is soon going to be the case. So I have a prediction, and I have a sweet sound for the ears of Bitcoin mining companies and Bitcoin mining people who are mining Bitcoin. Look forward very soon to the day when you can run your Bitcoin mining at zero cost for electricity. Not even if they don't want to do it, they're going to be forced to do it, because Bitcoin mining is going to divert to places where energy cost is zero or below. Matter of fact, a lot of companies, the cost of wasting all that energy is more than if they paid you to take it. Edison, a lot of these power companies, they're paying high consumption consumers and businesses to take electricity and pay them to take it. See, we have so much electricity, it costs us so much money to ground it. We're tired of grounding energy. We don't want to ground it anymore. We don't want to waste it anymore. We don't want to dump it in the ground. We will pay you to use electricity during 2 a.m. between 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. every day. Maybe at 5 a.m. it's all because people start waking up again and needing that energy. But you can bet your bottom dollar very soon that electric companies are going to cash in, because they're cashing in when they give the electricity away, and they can actually make more money by having you Run your Bitcoin mining on unused electricity. Thank you, folks, for listening. This is Charlene. My focus is clean energy and Bitcoin. Bitcoin and the blockchain is the answer to climate change. Bitcoin and crypto and the whole blockchain network and the energy it runs on is the answer that we've been looking for clean energy, for unused energy. Thanks for tuning in. Read my magazine, tokensmagazine.com. This is Charlene, your crypto queen, checking out. See you next time when I'll dive into more focus on Bitcoin as energy.